All right, we'll get started. Oh, it's 12 o'clock now, so we'll go ahead and get started. This is a very small group today. I have heard from Miroslav, who won't be here. I'm not sure if we're expecting Martin or not, but we'll go ahead and get started. Dieter, you said link to the minutes, but then are you asking for it or are you providing it? Because there's no link here. Oh, we did it at the same time.
Hello, Dieter. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Yakov. How are you? It's been a while.
It's been a
Hi,
while.
Yakov.
I saw the advertisement of an NTP session, and I said, "Let's hear what's going on in the NTP world."
Well, today will probably be pretty quiet. Oh, good. Martin is here. Excellent. But we have made some progress. So we will go ahead and get started. This is the NTP working group. As you all should be aware, this is the note well for the NTP working group. All by participating in this meeting, you have agreed to abide by all of these policies and procedures. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact myself or Dieter or our area director, which is Eric Klein. First of all, we will be using the online minutes tool, and Dieter and I just both put the link in the notes for the notes there. Feel free to help contribute and to add to those notes as you go. We will try to use the Q tool, but obviously there's a pretty small group, so we should be able to be pretty informal. Please be clear, concise, and respectful, and please act according to our IETF Code of Conduct. So with that, we have an agenda similar to the previous virtual interims that we've had, where we're going through documents and getting an update on where they are. There is, I see, Martin, that you're on here. I see that you've published an update to NTS for PTP, which I would obviously like you to talk about. The other thing that I would like a little bit of conversation on related to that is the pools discussion that's been in the email. So I didn't add that as a separate any other business. I don't know if it'll come up in the context of NTS for PTP or whether we'll just add it as a separate topic at the end. Is there any other agenda bashing? No. The one other, this came out on the mailing list as well, and the other thing that I wanted to be sure to note, if anybody had not seen it, is that, and there will be a short memoriam at the IETF, at IETF 119, but as you all are probably all aware, Dave Mills passed away earlier this year, and so we wish to acknowledge his significant contributions in this space. And it's indeed a sad moment. So I just wanted to, this was the first meeting we've had since then, so I wanted to acknowledge that. All right, so the next thing on the agenda is our document review status. So the updating the NTP registries is all of the updates from the working group last call were made. It's with Eric, and I neglected to check in with Eric to see where we are with that. I thought it was pretty close to going out. Rich, do you know if there's been an update that I'm not aware of?
Eric had a question about, and Dieter also responded about, pardon me, whether commented on some old RFCs, whether the pre-existing IETF trust
Oh, yeah.
terminology was needed, and I said, I didn't think so. It was just saying these documents said that. Dieter agreed, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, I remember that email exchange now that
Yeah,
you
I haven't-
mentioned it.
Right, haven't heard anything since then. I assume it'll show up on a telechat soon.
Okay, great. So that's the registries document. The next document is the enterprise profile, which is actually the TikTok working group document. We really want to push this through and get the TikTok working group properly closed. That is in IETF last call, which ends the 5th of March. And so I haven't seen a lot of conversation about it yet, but we'll see what happens. And then the third document that's sort of beyond the working group is the Kronos document, which has at long last been published. I see Netta is on the call, so we want to congratulate her on getting that document through the process and published. And look forward to updates on implementations. Go ahead, Netta.
Hi. Thank you very much. And I'm currently discussing with Holly about how to promote Horus and implement it. And so and also if there are anyone who would like to be involved in the Horus implementation in the NTF, he or she are very invited. So
Okay.
please let.
Yeah, if you any updates that you have on the implementation status or any deployment status information, if you could pass that back to the working group, it would be very helpful. So that is our document status and review update. The NTP over PTP, we did the working group last call on it. It was a bit of an anemic response, but the responses that we got did indicate that it was ready to go. Miroslav, in his status update to Dieter and I today, indicated that there was a couple of editorial changes to be made and that are already in the Git repository. And so it can be, with those, it's ready to go to the IESG. So the plan is to go ahead and move forward with that. Is there any other questions or comments on the NTP over PTP document? The NTP v5 requirements document. James is not on the call. This one is in a little bit of a limbo. There was a lot of discussion on it in the context of the working group last call. There is as far as resolving a lot of the technical discussions, I think there is some concern from a couple working group members that their comments were not adequately addressed. And also, I know, Christoph, you sent in a lot of stuff, and it's not clear to me whether what the status of your review of that document is. So if you could, I don't know if you have a moment to specify what that is.
Sure. I take it this is working and you can all hear me. So I think the summary of my status is everything that I saw as a blocking issue has been resolved.
Okay.
Sometimes with what I would call the bare minimum, but it's the minimum, so it's fine. It's all sufficient. And I had one point. It is on the mailing list. I can't concisely summarize it now. I don't
Okay.
have it handy. I had one point that I wanted the working group as a whole to look into if that merits more discussion from the viewpoint of anyone else. If no one else sees it as a problem, my statement was basically, and that remains, that I will just let it go. So from my point of view, everything has potentially been resolved, except if someone else sees any of my points as important enough to reopen the discussion, I guess.
I'd rather not reopen discussions we don't need to. So, all right. So that, there's a couple minor issues that I need to look into, and we need to check, Dieter and I will need to check with Eric. Our plan is to go ahead and try and publish it and see how the ISG feels about it. I know that there's a lot of questions about whether requirements documents should be published or not. So we'll see where we end up at that point. But I think at this point, it needs to be a conversation with Eric and the ISG. So, all right. The ongoing, so in the only updated document that we've gotten since the last meeting is the NTS for PTP. So I'm going to move it to the top of the list, and then ask Martin if you would like to speak to that document.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, of course. I updated the document. Rainer Bernbach and I have made many structured changes on this document. We got some feedback from David, and we put it into our document. And currently, I guess it's far enough to move it to an official working group document. So I'm not quite sure what is necessary, a call of adaptation or adoption. I'm not quite sure. I also work on the implementation. I'm not very far. This month was a bit slowly, but I'm making progress. And I guess it's also pretty far in total. So the document will not change much, I guess. So yeah. So I want to move it to the official working group document. So yeah, this is the current status.
Okay. All right. So you feel it's ready to move to official working group document.
Yes.
I think we can. I just lost my data tracker, my Meet Echo window. There we go. I feel that it's time to go ahead and do that as well. Is there anybody who feels that we're not ready to move this to a working group document? Oh, I missed a comment from Netta in the
I
chat.
saw a comment from Netta. Netta, do you mean about the content of the document? If I understand your question correctly.
Oh, this is the spreadsheet that was put together for the NTP pool discussion.
Okay. So yeah, I can also give some information about the pool discussion.
Let's hold that first. Let's hold that for just a second, Netta, and let's focus on the main question about NTS for PTP, like whether we want to adopt that or not. Is there anybody who feels that we should not be adopting this as a working group document? We'll still do the request for adoption on the main mailing list, but I just wanted to see if anybody had any other questions regarding this document at this time. Nope. Okay. So then that brings the question about the NTS and for NTP pools. And there's been a lot of discussion about this on the mailing list. So Martin, do you want to talk about that? And David did this spreadsheet. It's also, there's been an excellent conversation about it on the mailing list. So Martin, are you okay to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. So the main idea is to protect NTP pools with NTS. So this is the basic idea. And currently we have different ideas what we can do to make it to secure these pools. But we have, of course, to assess or to analyze what is necessary at the moment. So what are the goals? What are use cases? If we protect NTP pools with NTS, then we have, of course, different attack attack vectors, so we have to check them. And currently, we collect all the ideas. So we have currently a table provided by David somewhere in the mailing list, and currently it's a loose discussion. As far as I know, David want start a project, and this is some kind of a reason for this. So
Yeah, David has, well, he was doing an NTP-v4 implementation, and he's also looking at NTP-v5, and he is doing an NTS implementation, which is why he's interested in this topic.
yes, I guess maybe it's a good idea to did this task at least to check, does it make sense, or if we have trouble if we combine NTS with NTP pools. So therefore, I think it's a good idea, but it's not very really easy to answer the question how we perform.
Yeah, I think, you know, my summary of this is, my understanding of this is we developed NTS for NTP with the knowledge that it wasn't going to work with the public NTP pools. And there's been a fair amount of discussion over a couple of years about how that particular problem might be solved. There's still a question about whether it can be done for public pools, but maybe it can be done for private pools. So it's a little bit orthogonal to the issue of NTS for PTP. And my reading of your email, Martin, was that this issue doesn't exist for NTS with PTP. It's really an NTS for NTP type of issue. So that's correct, right?
Yes. So maybe so I see NTS we have currently structures to create a security solution between one key management server and different NTP time servers. So we have a frame for this, but I see also some problems if we try to set up a public NTS key establishment server. But we have to check it in detail. So this is not so very easy because communication is much more complex. We have more paths, so a path between the NTP server and the key management server. We have the communication between the time server and the client, and so it's more complex. So we have to check it, and at least if we see we have problems and it is not possible to secure it, then maybe we can create a document to show why we can not solve it. This is the case. Maybe we can secure it, but yeah, we have to check it. So, but we are in the very beginning, and we're collecting the ideas, and then we have to check.
Right.
Okay, what can we do, or what is not possible?
Yeah, I would think it's really, you're right. We're at the point where and that's what that spreadsheet does. It sort of looks at some of the characteristics of some of the different proposals that have been discussed. I mean, they're definitely not even at the implementation or documentation stage yet. It's really a discussion of ideas. For anybody who has expertise and interest in this, I would strongly encourage you to look at the NTP pools discussion in the mailing list recently, and help us out here. So, does that answer your question, Netta, or?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So the next item on the agenda is the NTP-v5 protocol specification. We did hear from Miroslav that he did not have an update for this meeting, and he expected to have more time to work on it over the next couple of months. I would again remind people to comment on it now while they can. That would be very helpful. And the final document, or the final work item we have, is rough time. And I have not gotten any updates and there's not an updated document on that. So I don't know if there's anybody here that can speak to whether the Rough Time Group is making any progress or not. And that would be no. So that brings us to the end of our agenda. As we had previously indicated, we're not going to meet in Brisbane. We have, Dieter and I have tentatively discussed our next meeting being early April. Tentatively April 11th. And so we will proceed with trying to do a virtual interim every 4 to 5 weeks. And there may be a very informal side meeting without any remote participation in Brisbane. There are 1 or 2 local participants in Brisbane who are sort of disappointed that we are not meeting. So I'd like to at least have a meetup of some sort. If anybody that's really interested in NTP, probably use the side meeting agenda to do that. Any other questions or comments? All right. With that, I will. Oh, wait, go ahead, Rich.
No, sorry, a cough and then hit the key at the same time. Nothing.
Okay. All right. With that, we can close the meeting. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and we will target some more activity in April. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.